So it's one of the most important messages I have for entrepreneurs is that failure should inspire you to get smarter. You know, we learn from our mistakes. Mistakes are opportunities to get smarter, be humble, and take a look at something.
To make sure we know what's our passion and what's our purpose. And then the ikigai that you mentioned, that's probably one of my favorite words.
Japanese word.
Japanese word for waking up early in the morning for something bigger than yourself. There's a lot of various meanings, but that's my meaning for that. Yeah. And I think all of us, doesn't matter if you are an entrepreneur or you're working for somebody else, you need to realize what is your passion, because you will never expand and do a great job wherever you are if you're not passionate about it.
Do something you're very passionate about, and don't try to chase what is kind of the hot passion of the day. I think we actually saw this, I think you see it all over the place in many different contexts, but I think we saw it in the internet world quite a bit, where, you know, at the sort of peak of the sort of internet, you know, mania in, say, 1999, you found people who were, you know, very passionate about something. They kind of left that job and decided, I'm going to, you know, do something in the internet, because it's, you know, it was almost like the, you know, the 1849 gold rush in a way. I mean, you find that people, if you go back and study the history of the 1849 gold rush, you find that, you know, at that time, everybody who was within shouting distance of California was, you know, they might have been a doctor, but they quit being a doctor and they started panning for gold. And that almost never works. And even if it does work, you know, according to some metric, financial success or whatever it might be, I suspect it leaves you ultimately unsatisfied. So you really need to be very clear with yourself. And I think one of the best ways to do that is this notion of projecting yourself forward to age 80, looking back on your life and trying to make sure you've minimized the number of regrets you have. That works for career decisions, it works for family decisions. You know, do you want, I have a 14-month-old son, and it's very easy for me to, if I think about myself when I'm 80, I know I want to watch that little guy grow up. And so I don't want to be 80 and think, shoot, you know, I missed that whole thing and I don't have the kind of relationship with my son that I wished I had, and so on and so on.
So 25 years old, don't worry. Any mistake is an income, is a wonderful revenue for you. So I told myself and told my young people, before 20 years old, be a good student. When you do entrepreneur, just learn some experience. Before 30 years old, follow somebody. Go to a small company. Normally in a big company, it is good to learn processing. You are a part of a big machine. But when you go to a small company, you learn the passion, you learn the dreams. You learn how to do a lot of things at one time. So before 30 years old, it's not which company you go, it's which boss you follow. It's very important. A good boss teaches you differently. And from 30 to 40 years old, you have to think very clearly, you're working for yourself if you really want to be an entrepreneur. When you're 40 to 50 years old, you have to do all the things that you are good at. Don't try to jump into the new area. It's too late. You may be successful, but the rate of dying is too big. So 40 to 50, think about how can you focus on things that you are good at. But when you are 50 to 60 years old, work for the young people. Because young people can do better than you. So rely on them, invest on them, making sure they're good. So when you are over 60 years old, spend time for yourself. On the beach, sunshine, right? It's too late for you to change normally. But this is my advice to the young people. 25 years old, make enough mistakes. Don't worry. You fall, you stand up. You fall, you stand. Enjoy it. I mean, 25 years old, enjoy the show.
Hi, Jasper Basson here. I just wanted to remind you about the Daily Entrepreneur Tips series. It's a business growth series for entrepreneurs and contains financial information and also information to grow you as a person and your business, because we will never grow our business any higher than we grow ourselves. So click on the link below and I will send you daily information to grow you as a person and your business, and it's for 365 days of the year.
Patience. I am dumbfounded by the notion of people trying to drive results and thinking it's going to happen in 90 days. I mean, I get emails from people like, hey Gary, this isn't working. Like, I need your help, this isn't working, I'm not getting traction. Which I replied to, I'm like, hey, sorry Sally, how long has this been going on? Like, what are you doing, how long? She's like, I've been doing this since, since March, 30 days, 60 days. And I'm like, I did Wine Library TV every day for 18 months before anybody watched it. Because this was 2006, people weren't in the habit of watching online video, right? Patience is the #1 thing needed. If you want people to buy things, if you want things to happen, if you want to build a business that you own instead of working for somebody, and you don't realize that this is a year's game, that this is a marathon, it's why I love social media. The reason I love social media marketing actually is because it doesn't drive results very quickly. It's actually shockingly human. It's how we actually work in real life. You know, I can't just roll up on you the first time I meet and ask you for something outlandish. I can ask you something more than I could have asked you for 90 days ago because we've been spending more time together. Not just how life works. And so I would say patience.
One of those really just don't settle. It's very, very, very important if you're starting a company to have the right people involved. And I can't stress that enough. I've been, enormously happy with people we've had involved at Google with my co-founder and with Eric. And we took a long time to find these people, actually. I've been working with Sergey for a really long time, but Eric took us over a year to hire Eric. And just generally, having great people involved that you really like and that are compatible with you and all those things is tremendously important. And you're never going to question the equity you gave up or any of the other things. So I can't stress that enough.
So it's one of the most important messages I have for entrepreneurs is that failure should inspire you to get smarter. And unfortunately, our school system says if you fail, you're stupid. That is not true. We learn from our mistakes. Mistakes are opportunities to get smarter, be humble, and take a look at something. So anyway, the cash flow board game, just like Slack, was a failure. So I had to write Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which is a true story about my rich dad and my poor dad. And suddenly I went on the Oprah show and suddenly I became famous. So anyway, that's an entrepreneur's story. That's who I am.
For somebody aspiring to, take things to the next level or to even surpass their wildest dreams, there's always going to have to be an element of luck. But I think more important is putting yourself in a business that can be ubiquitous, that really doesn't have limits. Because otherwise, there's always going to be a grind to it. But if the business, if it can't be something that you can visualize every business using or every consumer using, it's going to be tough to scale to be big enough or to have the perceived value.
Constantly seek criticism. A well thought out critique of whatever you're doing is as valuable as gold. And you should seek that from everyone you can, but particularly your friends.
A company is simply a group of people, as a leader of people, you have to be a great listener, and you have to be a great motivator. You have to be very good at praising and looking for the best in people. You know, people are no different from flowers. If you water flowers, they flourish. If you praise people, they flourish, and that's a critical attribute of a leader.
People say you have to have a lot of passion for what you're doing, and it's totally true. And the reason is because it's so hard that if you don't, any rational person would give up. It's really hard, and you have to do it over a sustained period of time. So if you don't love it, if you're not having fun doing it, and you don't really love it, you're going to give up.